Hello and welcome to today's episode of Sight Reading Maverick. It's been a few weeks. It always surprises me how much I have to get back into remembering how to do the technology to make the show work. It's not even that challenging, but you get out of the habit and it goes out the window. Anyway, I think everything should be working well. Do let me know in the chat box if something is going awry. And I'll see what I can do. Other than that, I want to thank you for joining me today. If you're watching, whether it's live or after the show has streamed. If you are new to the show, in the description box, you'll see a list of the pieces I'll be playing and also links to their scores on IMSLP. So you can follow along if you'd like to see what I'm actually trying to do, how much I succeed or don't succeed. Let's see what else. If you do want to say hi in the chat box, I always love to know that people are there, to know who's watching and that type of thing. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get started. On today's show, it looks like there's a lot of music that will be really good for people that are wanting to improve their sight reading skills, but might be not necessarily beginning pianists, but just in their journey, beginning of their journey of getting better at sight reading. So it should be a fun show. The first piece is from a set of melodious tunes by August, I don't know how to say his last name. He's a German composer and he was a cellist and composer. I kind of like the cellist part because I used to be a cellist in my earlier days. All right, so this is the second book of them apparently. I don't know if the other book is available on IMSLP. If we like them, perhaps we can watch, or I could read them another week. All right, so we start with a prelude in B flat major or G minor. Actually, it looks like it might be G minor. Or it goes back and forth. It's very imitative. So it's sort of like playing follow the leader between the hands, at least at the first two measures. What's nice about this one is that while one hand is busy, the other hand is not. And that's always helpful with sight reading. So my eyes and my brain are going to kind of flip back and forth between focusing on different hands. And while I'm focusing on like the left hand, I'll try to relax my brain about the opposite hand and vice versa. All right, looks like it's only one page. So let's just see where we are. It's marked moderato without pedal. That's always a challenge for me when I'm sight reading. So I think I'm kind of hearing this melody in my head, and I don't want it to sound frantic, so that's going to somewhat help me know what tempo I want to do it at. So I think we're going to do 1, 2, 3. I snuck the pedal in at the very last second because it looked a little bit more complicated and I had this second voice in the right hand to enter in. That was really quite straightforward. One comment that I want to make is there was one spot where I left out a tie, sort of near the beginning. And that's one of those things that when you're sight reading, ties can often throw off the rhythm and it can tie people up in knots. So just like I say, ornaments are something that you can tend to just eliminate from a sight reading session. I feel the same way about ties. If you suspect that the tie is going to throw you off, just simply forget that the tie is even there. So that's what I did at first. And then when I got my feet further into it, I was further into the piece, I could go ahead and put those ties back in. Yay, I see David is here with us, as is Nick. It's good to have you both here. Thank you. All right, minuet, D minor, clearly. It looks like it's going to go into F major in the middle section. And of course, like all minuets, yes, we're going to have to go back to the first part after we get done with the trio. I see scales. It's a D minor scale. And are there any others? There's another D minor scale. That's it. The trio has more arpeggiated material, so that's kind of a nice contrast. All right, allegro. I think I'll go ahead. It's really pretty straightforward, so I think I'll try a little faster tempo. I can't remember what lively means. Amabile, I think that kind of means gracefully. So, okay. One. That was fun. I kind of wish I had done it a little bit faster just because I got to the trio. You didn't have as many of that eighth note movement or the quaver movement. So it did start to feel a little bit stagnant, at least to me. But maybe it was okay. A lot of times what I perceive as being too slow actually doesn't translate that way, apparently, to you all out there. Okay, next one. I forget what this title translates into. I want to say memory, but I could be wrong. Nonetheless, it's an andante, one page. E flat major. The left hand looks a little bit tricky to negotiate, especially with semiquavers or 16th notes. So I'll have to be mindful of that. First of all, try to keep my hand closer to the keys and also choose a tempo that's mindful of all that. So that's my guess as to what I want to do. That seems kind of nice for an andante. Let's try that. because we also want it to be espressivo. 1. Very nice. I decided to do the repeat on that second section because one of the things I'm working on right now in my overall playing, but also even with sight reading, is not getting tense in my hands. I do so much sight reading in my job and obviously here, and it can be easy for me to tense my hand because I'm not quite sure what I'm doing next. And that, of course, doesn't help my sound. So I'm trying to push myself to, even in the context of sight reading with people watching me or at work, to try to be as relaxed as possible. All right, next is the gavotte. With grace, it says. We've got 2 pages, no semiquavers, no 16th notes. So we're going to try to take a little brighter tempo. Very straightforward, very repetitive in terms of motives. So does it go back to the beginning? No. 1, 2, 1. That had 2 things that in the first piece I mentioned something about. This had ties and little ornaments. And as you could probably tell if you were following along, I chose to leave both out at the very beginning. For some reason, my brain was a little bit behind at the beginning. So the ties and the ornaments just were not going to happen. All right, next is an Italian serenade. It looks like in G major. Looks a little bit tarantella-y. So I'm going to try to do a tarantella-y tempo. Yes, that is a thing. Because the left hand is just doing the big beats of the measure, I think we can move along with this one. Anything else I need to notice? No, lots of scalar things and stepwise motion in the right hand. 1. I'm going to feel it 1 beat per measure. 1, 1. So you might have been able to tell where my hand tensed up in that last one. It was when I went up high, because that kind of was a sudden departure from what came before. And my hand got tense, and then the sound got really too brittle for my liking. So I was better the rest of the piece, but that's okay. All right, elephantance. Oh my. Okay, so I see something with all this blackness on the page and I get a little nervous. So I need to quickly assess what's a way to simplify this for myself. And I immediately notice that the left hand basically stays on the same notes. It very rarely changes pitch. So as long as I can see where the left hand is changing, what it changes to, then I can focus on what the right hand is doing, which is basically dancing around, like literally, my left hand. Okay, and it's the same way throughout the piece. So, no, it says with a loose hand. Handgelenk. I don't know if that's how you say it, but it was fun to say. Okay, tempo. This might be one of those ones that works better, not too slow, because the hands are alternating. Okay, 1, 2. Maybe I should have repeated that. I could have used another round with that one. Yeah, at first it took a little bit of time to actually get into the groove. A lot of times when I have something like this, I have to try to tap into what I call like a kinesthetic in addition to rhythmic groove. So I'm not over obsessing over every little note and just kind of let myself ride on what I've got going. Okay, oh, that's it for that set. Okay, well now I'm really curious because I quite like those and I think they'd be good to work on those with students as sight reading examples. So we'll have to maybe see if that other book is available on IMSLP. And I turn the page and I get a little nervous. Okay, this is a piece by George Posca, By the Sea. It's Opus 8, number 2. Not quite sure if it's a set. Oh, I don't know. There must be others in the set. Okay, so again, this is another one like the last one where I look at it and I sort of panic because there's lots of black on the page. So try to simplify it in my head. So as I'm looking at it, again, like harmonically, it doesn't actually move very quickly. You've got the same chord for quite some time. So it's like, what is this piece about? It looks like there's this kind of melody that is buried in the midst of all of these notes. So, and it looks like in this piece, they're all marked. The melody notes are marked by these little caret accents. So that's handy. And it looks like it's going to alternate between the hands. And I do see at the bottom of the page, they've actually written out the melody. But I'm I'm trying to find it on the page because that's where I'm going to be looking, right? Okay, so the melody is carrot notes. The rest of the stuff is just harmony. And the rhythm, it just ripples right underneath the melody. So, and talking about getting in a groove, that's what I'm going to kind of do. Because I don't think I want to do this too slowly. Again, it would make it too hard. So I'm trying to get that rhythm in my head and then figure out how the melody fits in with that. All right, let's just see what happens. Focus on the harmony and melody. Okay, I was frustrated because all of a sudden I got to the 8 VA and I was like, shoot, which octave is it supposed to be in? And I overshot it. So then I had too much space to cover to get back on track. So I'm going to see if I can do the last two lines again. But before I do that, so I want to go, I started up here. Okay, last two lines. There you go. That works out much better that way. Okay, I think that strategy for the most part worked for that. Really just focusing on just quickly glancing what chord am I playing. I wasn't counting, like I wasn't reading any of those notes in the arpeggiated material. I was just making it up. So I knew what the chord was. And then as long as I got to the left hand crossing note, I was okay. If that makes any sense. Okay, that was a fun little challenge. Simplify, simplify, so you don't freak out. That's my motto for today. All right, next we have a set of pieces by Hugo Reinhold. These are pieces for kids, which are always make good pieces to sight read. So There's quite a few of these, I think, so we're just going to read and see how far we get. If I decide that I'm getting tired of them, we'll just move on. So let's see what happens. Andantino, C major. Melody's in the right hand. Looks like the left hand will get it a few places, so I want to make sure that I see that before I get there so that I can make sure I get enough good sound in that left hand when it has the melody, which actually it's only for one line of the entire page. So, all right, I know where it is, remember. This type of accompaniment is always tricky. I want to make it light. One. Charming. And because this is a little bit more straightforward, I also try to throw in as a challenge for me to look ahead to try to catch any harmonic surprises that are coming up, as we had at the end. So that hopefully I can bring that out a little bit. That was kind of fun. I'm glad I caught that one. Probably could have done a little bit more with it, but all right, pirouette. This probably needs to be nice and light and dancey. Okay, this looks a little bit trickier. I turn the page, but I see it's really just outlining a G major scale with some chromatic stuff thrown in. Then also at the top of that second page, I see lots of accidentals. Why is that? Because he's going through a whole bunch of keys, but obviously not changing key signature. So as long as I can kind of hear where we're going, I should be okay. Right. Is that the same here? Is it actually exactly the same? It is. All right. Same left hand accompaniment. yeah, that was a little bit more challenging, but quite fun. And again, I talked earlier about getting into the groove of a kinesthetic feeling or motion, and that's what I was trying to do with these. Not entirely successfully, but kind of fun. All right, next is called a phantom. Wow, okay, quasi presto, just one page. I think we'll want to do this fast. That's interesting. We have some clef changes in here. I'm trying to see if I can tell if there's any hand crossings. No, so that's good. Make sure the ending doesn't have any. Nope. All right, let's just have fun with this one. Yeah, I misaimed on that last bit going up in the right hand, but that was fun. Good. Okay, next is beggars. Do I want to do that one? Sure, why not? Okay. Left hand has the same rhythmic pattern in it. This composer has an aversion to having the left hand play on downbeats. Just saying. I'm trying to see. Looks very chromatic. Oh. D minor. All right. So I have to just be careful of, is it chromatic or diatonic? That one is really good, would be good practice for playing that left hand without looking at the keyboard. You know, it's quite a wide area for it to cover, and I think it would take too much time and make it kind of a lumpy performance if the student is looking down for both of those notes of the left hand. So that was kind of fun. I'm going to skip the next one just because I'm often not a fan of things that are like trumpets and drums. It's just, I'm not in the mood. So we're going to skip that one. Let's go to the next one, which is First Trials. I'm not really sure what they're referring to. Maybe we'll glean some more information from just playing it. Okay, we've got quite a few 16ths in here. Ooh, and some grace notey things. But what I notice is the grace notes are always a fourth below, within the key signature, which is 1 sharp. So some scales. Andantino. So not too fast. 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't get any enlightenment as to what that might be all about, but that's okay. Trying to think if there's anything else. Skipping some of them. This looks kind of interesting. Okay, I'm skipping to number 11, which is called Summer Night. It looks a little trickier, E major, and we've got some double sharps and lots of accidentals. So let's see if I can challenge myself to keep my cool and to keep my hand from getting tense even in light of all those. Why are there all these accidentals? So it's actually not that chromatic. Just changes key in the middle from E major to A flat major. So that in itself explains a lot of the accidentals. Except I'm going to have to keep on my toes, it looks like, in this line here. So I may use that as an opportunity to be expressive and to take more time. Andante. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 1. Glad I did that one because I loved the cuckoo bird at the end there. That was such a pleasant surprise. And it wasn't actually as difficult as I thought I was going to be in that 4th line. It made sense actually the way he was transitioning back to E major. So that was a fun discovery. All right. know how many of these there are. Should I do the witch? No. Ah, this looks fun. Okay, this is called the Brave Syncopist. Syncopist? A syncopated person? I'm going to be a syncopated person. I see all these syncopated rhythms everywhere. So that could be funny, especially if I completely struggle with it. A lot of people, when they're sight reading, of course, struggle with syncopated rhythm. So I'm trying to get my eyes to recognize where they are and to see if there are any clues in the music. It looks like he puts accent marks on all the syncopated stuff. So that's helpful. So, and then I'm also going to constantly be looking for which hand actually does have the beat so that that can be my anchor for the measure. We'll see if it works. We've got, it's pretty simple throughout until that last line. There's some scales. Just with a little bit of a chromatic stuff at the chromatic thing at the end. This would definitely be more fun fast. So 1, 2, 3, 1. My strategy worked most of the way through. I had a little bit of trouble in the middle. It's easy when you're doing lots of syncopations to build up a little bit of tension, like, ah! And that's what happened. But I still tried to keep a little bit calm. So that was fun. Ooh, this looks interesting. Okay, next is raining. I don't know why this looks interesting. It just looks kind of like creepy crawly. Yeah. Andantino. C sharp minor. I really liked that. It was such a good exercise in stringing a line, in stringing a phrase, even though you're sight reading. So you really have to look ahead and see if you can guess. Well, you can sort of see, well, kind of like a game. Can you tell where the phrase is going to end? So can you shape it, even while sight reading, in a way that will be musical? And also looking for repeated phrases, and then how is that the next statement a little bit different, so you can actually do something musically to bring that out. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and do the last one now of the set. This is Opus 64, number 24. This is called Starting, which doesn't actually seem like the right translation because it looks like it means an exit. But anyway, I'm just going to read it because we're getting towards the end of the show. So I'm going to pick a fast tempo and just see what happens. I did some creative keys in there, but that was quite fun. All right, next, and I do like those pieces. I think they would be great for students to work on sight reading. So I have to try to take note of that somewhere. Next is an etude by Charles Dennée, who sounds like he should have been French, but I think he was an American composer. Okay. Oh, this is like that other one I did, the By the Sea, earlier in the show. Lots of arpeggiated gunk. Oh, I shouldn't call it gunk, should I? Arpeggiated beauty. It's supposed to be played really lightly, grazioso. So I'm trying to find the melody here. Okay. I really shouldn't be looking ahead, but I did. Okay. This is the one I'm just going to have to get into the groove of what it is as I go. 1, 4. wishes I had done that a little bit faster. I don't know why. Again, I think it's one of those ones that would have been a little bit easier, even faster, but maybe not. I don't know. I'm going to try it. So I have to think of the tempo before I start. Yeah, I think it would have helped actually to make it lighter. I think I was a little heavy that first time, which made it harder to read and harder to get the sound I wanted. So, all right, I'm gonna end with, looks like there's a set of sight reading exercises in 3 books by Christian Schäfer. I'm a little confused who wrote these. I don't know if Arnaldo Sartorio was the editor, or it says Christian Schäfer, so who knows? So I'm just going to read as many as I can before the show is over. Took a harmonic turn I wasn't expecting, but I should have. That's okay. These are all very short. That's good. I think I wish that the ABSRM people would use these instead of theirs. These are so much more musical. Ooh. kind of a fun exercise in trying to quickly choose a good tempo. There's repeated pages in here. That's why I was confused. All right, I think I'm going to stop there for today because I think I'll reserve some of these for another show because I'm curious about them and I don't really want to skip over them. And I need to figure out the doubled pages there. Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching today. Next week's show is on, I believe it's going to start a half an hour before I usually do, just to keep you on your toes and to keep me on my toes. So if you have any requests that you come across on IMSLP that you want me to try to sight read next Sunday, do let me know. I no longer am on Twitter or X, so you can find me on my webpage. You can contact me that way, or on Facebook, or you can also leave a comment here on my YouTube channel. There's always the community tab, and I think you can leave little notes there too. So thank you again for joining me. Thank you, Nick and David, for being here. I know you two were there, and to anybody else that was watching. Have a great week, everybody.